for you. This is gonna be the main stage where CBUM is gonna be. Give it up for CBUM, say CBUM, CBUM.
What's the biggest mistake you've ever made?
Leaving Gymshark.
Oh shit! That deserves a round of applause. That was an incredible answer. Yeah, that was incredible. So give us more on that. So what? How many years ago was it you left Gymshark?
I honestly can't remember exactly how many years. But I wouldn't say that, I mean, that was a genuinely a mistake. I do believe that was a mistake in my life now. And it's hard for me to look back on anything and be like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. So I kind of move on really quick. Because, I mean, we all know, to be able to move forward in life, you have to be able to learn from your mistakes and get past it. And I know it's a cheesy old saying for everyone to say that, but if you actually continue to look back on the past and be like, fuck, I made these mistakes and messed that up, fuck that up, it will hold you back. So it's hard for me to look back on that. But there were periods in my life where I started to like, a lot of voices came in my head, do this, do that, this is what's important, that's not what's important, kind of like getting in my own head. And when I was young, I was influenced a little bit by that. So any mistake I made was from listening to outside influences rather than my own heart. And I think in aspect, in a way, that was why I left Gymshark, I think. And then coming back, talking to you guys, starting a business of my own, seeing what you two have built, how Ben built the brand, what you guys stand for and everything, I was like, wow, I was so much more impressed by what you guys had done. It felt like it was right in my heart to come back to you guys, and it was like a full circle moment for me to really just do whatever the hell I wanted to do in my life rather than outside opinions, you know?
And listen, we were as sad as anyone that Chris left Gymshark, but I know you guys loved it, right? When we brought him back and we launched that video where he dropped the mic and said, "Daddy's home." That was pretty fucking cool, wasn't it? Ben, same question. Biggest mistake you've ever made?
I'm struggling to think of like a specific example of sort of, I guess, a big mistake I've made. But the one thing I would say, and I guess it's similar to Chris in a way, is every mistake I have made is probably when I've sort of ignored my gut instinct or not wanting to follow my instinct. And equally on the opposite of that, every one of the best decisions I've ever made has been when I have followed my gut instinct and really sort of trusted what that instinct was telling me. So whether it's around people or product or even building out the business, when I've sort of listened to too many opinions or smart opinions and people that have done amazing things, if it went against what I thought was the right thing instinctively, then I think that's where we've sort of made mistakes. And you know, Gymshark is what, 12, 13 years old now, and through that, you know, 12, 13 years, there's been great days, there's been really, really hard days as well. You know, and again, for me, I think through that, it's always been about trusting my instinct and trusting that to guide me in the right direction.
But mistakes do happen, right? Like leaving Gymshark, like the stuff that you said happens every day. So when that does happen, and every one of us in this room at some point has made a mistake and had that gut-wrenching feeling that you know you fucked something up, how do you handle that setback when you get something wrong?
I mean, you'll probably know this from us working together for so long. I've managed, and I think anyone that's running a business, no matter how big or small, has to get really comfortable with like failure and public failure, and then being able to bounce back from that failure incredibly quickly. So for me, it's just about observing the mistake, accepting the mistake, and just instantly changing action, changing course. And again, if you think about Gymshark, we were the fastest growing company in the United Kingdom, right? We've had one of the fastest growth trajectories. And as we were going through that growth, we ended up just sort of starting to say yes to lots of different things. And we almost lost our way sort of 3, 4, 5 years ago because we were just saying yes to so many things. And then I think we observed that, we recognised it, and we said, no, we're going to focus on doing one thing really well, and that's building the best gymwear that we possibly can. We're not going to try and do loads of fashion, and we're not going to, you know, we're not going to be really, really broad. We're going to be the best at what we want to be the best at.
We do, Jim. Chris, same question. When those setbacks happen, when things go wrong, how do you handle it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat as Ben for sure. I think one of the most important aspects in anything is personal accountability, leading to taking responsibility for everything in your life. And I truly believe responsibility equals power. You know, if you want to have power over your life and believe that you can make a change in your own life and get somewhere you want to be, you need to take responsibility for everything that happens. So when you make a mistake, instead of hiding from it, denying it, trying to like pretend like it wasn't as bad as it was, own it, accept that you fucked up, take responsibility, and then by taking responsibility, you also have the power to change it. The quicker you can do that and get over your own head, you're winning.
So there's like there's like a theme there, trying to distill what you guys both set down. I know this from Ben because I work so much with him. I think I get it from you as well. It sounds like the answer is you have to get over it as fast as possible, right? And then figure out what the next step is. Ben's a bit like Dwight Schrute. Have you all watched The Office? Ben's very Dwight Schrute, right? He's into farming. And I don't know if you ever heard that quote where Dwight says, "My emotions recover at double the rate of a normal man." That is definitely Ben, right? So if those are, those are the biggest setbacks, the biggest fuck-ups, whatever you want to call them. Aside from having kids, because I know that really distorts this question, aside from kids, in your career as a bodybuilder or in your career as an entrepreneur, what's the proudest moment you've ever had?
Aside from kids? So I would say for me, and it sounds weird, but it was probably opening our first shop on Regent Street. So again, anyone that knows me, I'm very patriotic. I love the UK. I think it's such a great place. And in London, you've got this really iconic street called Regent Street. It's this beautiful street, right? There's Union Jacks running all the way down it. And my dream is I want Gymshark to be a brand that lasts longer than I do. I want it to be a 100-year brand. I want it to be a globally iconic brand. And I think in order to do that, you need a globally iconic physical locations. So for us to be able to open our first ever store on Regent Street in London was a proper incredible moment. And we do, even though we do events all around the world, but we're very much an online business. So to be able to physically see and touch something Gymshark on such an amazing street was really special for me.
Chris, same question. Proudest moment?
Proudest moment taking out kids in relationships. I would probably say choosing to retire at my own time, how I wanted to.
And that was, we were there, right? When me and Ben were sitting in the audience when Chris won this year and then retired on stage, and there was not a dry eye in the house, right? We were like in tears looking at each other. When he looked up at the Olympia logo, it was just incredible. And you said that line, I think it was, "I came here to set the standard, I hope you think I did that," right? It was so humble, so cool. But I don't know how many people know this. You originally intended to retire the year before, didn't you? So it's interesting that you said that. So take us through, why were you originally going to retire the year before? Then why did you not retire and decide to do it this time around?
I mean, I knew bodybuilding for me wasn't going to be forever. And the year prior, I started to get in my head a lot. The pressure kind of started to get to me. A little bit of fear of losing, fear of my health. All these different things were overwhelming me. And they kind of took away from my passion, my love for the sport. And I was like, all right, if I don't love it as much, why am I still doing it? So I kind of, behind the scenes, without being public knowledge, which eventually the story will be told, but I was going to retire. And a few months later, it just didn't feel right in my heart because it was coming from a place of fear, a place of lack, rather than just pure love, So.
And what does a place of lack mean?
Like fear. A fear-based decision, essentially. Like, I wanted to get rid of something in my life that wasn't making me feel good, rather than choosing to go into something that was positive and choosing to leave something behind. Just fear-based decision, essentially. So, I mean, I began to regret my decision within like 2 weeks, I think. And my wife was like, "Oh shit, are we gonna do this again?" I'm like, "I think we're gonna do this again." And it took me like 6 months to really commit to doing it again. But in that year, I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do it again, I'm not gonna be afraid of what's gonna happen. I'm not gonna be afraid of losing. I'm just gonna go back to the roots of why I love bodybuilding so much. I'm gonna get on stage, just grateful to be there. Like the first time I was ever on stage, and just truly soaking it all in, enjoying the moment. Not that it's gonna be the last one forever, but just because I'm grateful to be here. It's a privilege that I've gotten to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Olympias. To finish it, to get on stage knowing you're done, to feel like a peace in your heart that you've done enough. It was just a really good year. And I think, a lot of people keep chasing more, and not understanding why you're even doing it. You're just something lacking in your body, so you're seeking more. And I didn't want to compete for a reason to get more. So I did one more. I enjoyed it. I loved it. And when I was on stage, I just knew in my heart that it was it. There was like a peaceful understanding that it was time to say goodbye, and that it was time to start focusing on other aspects of my life, my family, my health, my future. And it was going to close off the chapter, but it was a sad but happy goodbye.
I love that. Speaking of retiring, I think you were 30 years old when you officially on paper became a billionaire, right? Now, I think it's fair to say that most people at 30 years old would cash out, buy the yacht, buy a jet, go and live in the Bahamas, make friends with Kanye West, or you know, all these like billionaire things that people do, or whatever. I'm freestyling here. I think that's what they do, yeah. I read an interview with you where someone said, "How did you celebrate?" And you said, "Oh, me and Robin ordered a Domino's." Yeah. And then I work with you every day. You never spend any money. You wear those terrible shoes to death. But the key point being, you still turn up to work every single day, take meetings every day, work hard every day. That's really, really rare. You work like a dog still. Why is that?
Thank you, by the way. That was the nicest thing you've ever said. No, I genuinely love what I do. I absolutely love my job, and I meet loads of people that want to start businesses, and the first thing I say, and it's the most obvious piece of advice you can give to anyone, is just go into something that you really love. And I think that's important, because when the hard times come, which they inevitably will, it means that you'll be more likely to persevere through those hard times. And I genuinely love my job. I've had 3 jobs. The first job that I did, I worked with my granddad. I lined furnaces. So we lined furnaces with brick and fibre, and we would work in factories around the West Midlands. When I was a bit older, I then worked at Pizza Hut. I was a delivery driver, and then I got into Gymshark. And I was taught, again, as a young lad working with my granddad, I was always taught to be appreciative and respect work. So when you have work and you have the opportunity to work, then you need to really appreciate that. And the fact that I get to do a job that I love, travel the world, meet amazing people, to me that's worth so much. And there's also this sort of feeling of responsibility. So being able to run a business like Gymshark, to me is such a blessing. And I think we've got the opportunity to build a brand that becomes globally iconic and again lasts longer than we do. And I think that to me is so cool. The idea that one day I'll pass on, and Gymshark could hopefully, if we do a really good job, continue on and be a globally iconic brand in the same way that many brands that I admire are. I think that's so cool. So yeah, I just feel lucky to do the job I do. I love the people I work with. I really genuinely enjoy the work. I feel like we're doing I think again we're doing an okay job. I think there's a lot more we can do better, but I love it.
I think you guys would agree we're doing an okay job, right? What, I've heard you reference working with your granddad before. I feel like I'm trying to pull out themes of the success that you both had. And this family theme is definitely a huge thing with both of you. I know you're heavy on family. You've talked many times about how those early days working with your granddad inspired Gymshark and that kind of stuff. I think Ian got you into bodybuilding, right? That was another family thing. How much do you attribute the success that you two have had to the strong family that you've had? Any examples that were set by others?
Oh, for me, massively. So again, going back to my granddad, he's only a one-man band, right? But he had to risk everything that he has to start his business. He remortgaged the house. My mum and my nan were living in there. My auntie, her sister, has learning difficulties, so there's a level of cost that comes with, supporting and looking after her. He risked everything to build a furnace, and then he did well, and he had to carry on. So when you're 14 and you're working in the factories with him and hearing stories like that, you realise that his risks were so much bigger than mine. So I felt this freedom to take risks, knowing that my risk was only my hourly rate at Pizza Hut, which was £4.90 an hour or something. So my risk was so small in compared to his. So going back to family, I think for me it was massive, it was fundamental. I think it's so much of the reason that I'm fortunate enough to do what I do today.
Yeah, Am I going? I'm in the same boat. I mean, my brother-in-law got me into bodybuilding, and I think the biggest thing for me was, I guess, 2 kind of things, is getting through the hard times, knowing that you have a support system who loves you, or whether the outcome is good or bad, whether you fail or win, that when you go back home, your family, my wife Courtney, they're gonna love you just the same. I feel like that gives you like a permission, a courage to go try, to be okay with failure, put yourself into a position where you can fail because you're trying something very difficult. I think that is something that it kept the fire under me, and got me through a lot of hard times. And on top of that, I speak mostly about my wife with this, but when you're going through like a very mentally challenging time, whether it be Olympia, personal stuff on top of that, and you're going through it with someone, to be able to celebrate with that someone in the end is so much better than getting off stage and being alone. You know, like I'm on stage alone, but before I get on stage, Corny's back there, she gives me a kiss, I give my family, my team props, then I get off stage, and we're hugging, we're crying. Every single year I'm sobbing backstage. The security guys literally were like, Chris, we know you're gonna start crying, we're gonna keep people away from you. This is before I even won. I'm like getting on stage for them to start giving out the awards, and they're like, all right, when you come back, Chris, we'll keep everybody away, we know you need your space, we need to cry, we got you. I'm like, sick, all right, thanks. But you know, I get off stage and I get to hug my family and cry, and those moments are so worthwhile. You know, the hearts I send out on stage, you know, those little things along the journey make the journey so much more worthwhile, knowing you're not doing it alone.
That was. We're going to move the family thing on now and get to the kids' point because you both become dads as well. The big thing that was hitting me really hard at the Olympia was bodybuilding is for very, very macho. There's a lot of, you know, testosterone energy in the room, big guys, scary. Every 10 seconds, you were turning around and throwing up hearts, talking about Courtney, talking about Bradley. We just didn't expect it. Like, what? So, what drove that? Did your life completely change when Bradley came along? And did motivations change? Did it just turn everything upside down? Like, what took your energy from big hard bodybuilder to Chris on stage throwing out all that love?
I mean, if I'm being honest, I was never really a big tough guy. You know, I was always a little bit of a sensitive guy. I'm not ignorant to think that being a bodybuilder almost gives you permission. Being a successful bodybuilder almost gave you permission to be more openly vulnerable or emotional, if you will, because there was enough contrast in it. And you know, I'm grateful for that opportunity, but I also just had people around me who always let me be myself and show whatever side of myself I needed to. And you know, when Bradley was born, my life definitely changed a lot. And that's also what made retiring so easy, because bodybuilding wasn't like this key priority in my life anymore. My family was, my health, be with them long term. That was really the focus of my day-to-day life. And you know, like I said, there's a lot of sacrifice to what I do. You know, my mind's elsewhere. There's a lot of stress. I'm not as present as I'd like to be. I'm more tired. I can't be as engaged as I'd like to be. You know, I pull away a lot when I'm getting ready for a competition because I'm so focused on my goal. And my family feels that too, you know? So I know that they're going through what I'm going through, and it's a battle. They would love for me to be there all the time. I'd like to be with them more, but we sacrifice together, and so we win together. And that's why when I'm on stage, I'm just thinking of them the whole time, and I'm grateful that they give me the opportunity to be able to do what I do.
He's very good at this, isn't he? He's done a lot of good stuff. Ben, you've got twin boys, and your newest little boy came along how many weeks ago?
6 weeks.
6 weeks old, new baby boy. How did that change things for you, having kids?
I think that it's the first ones that make a massive change. When our third came along, he sort of fits in with the momentum of the family and everything. So it was when we had the first 2 years ago, so they're 2 years old. That was massive for me. I think the thing that I really noticed quickly is you can have the best day at work or the worst day, and regardless, when you come through the door, they just want to see you, and they don't care about what you do at work. They don't care about any of that, and it's weird because going back to previous, we've had some incredible successes as a business. We've had some of the most incredible days that you can ever imagine. But when you walk in the door and they run up to you and give you a hug, that trumps all of those incredible business days by a multitude of 1,000. It's just them giving you a hug is worth more than anything. And that was the thing that I really noticed, was just how you sort of unlock a whole new level of happiness. The other thing as well that I've noticed is I don't think I was really an adult until we had our first boys. I feel like, oh well, now I feel like I'm a grown-up. Because you get home from the hospital, and no one tells you about this, but you get home from the hospital and everyone's like, oh, cute babies and everything. They leave you, and then you're just with them, and they're just there. In our case, there was 2 of them. And I'm looking at them thinking, we've now got to keep you alive for 18 years. And there's no guidebook or manual or anything. You just have to work it out as you go along. It's incredibly hard work. Incredibly hard work. It's the most wonderful, fulfilling thing that's ever happened. Again, me and Robin is so good with them all. She's with them 24/7, but it's incredible and it's life-changing.
You both have, go for it, why not? This guy is the biggest cheerleader, by the way. He's clapped everything so far. Good man. You guys both have like incredible women in your lives as well, right? I think that's a huge part of why you've been so successful. Do you know what I mean? Like we've managed to watch your relationship with Courtney play out on social media and everything else. It's one of the most incredible things to see. So, to be honest, there's no real question here. I just wanted the whole room to give a little bit of appreciation for Robin, Francis and Courtney as well, because I think those two deserve a lot of credit for why these guys are here. Okay, I'm going to switch gears a little bit and ask a spicy question. So, I don't know if you guys have seen this. There's a really, really viral speech that Jim Carrey gave on YouTube where he said, I hope every single one of you achieves all your hopes and dreams so you can realise that it's all fucking bullshit and it isn't what you thought it was going to be, right? Now, I think both of these two have both achieved their hopes and dreams. So question, I'll go to Chris first. Do you agree with Jim Carrey on that? Or, if not, do you find any truth in that? What do you think drove him to say that?
I mean, I'm not ignorant to say that success isn't great. I'm not gonna say it sucks. Obviously, there's a lot of good stuff that comes with it. But there's definitely an aspect where, like, once you have enough, it's a lot less than you think it is. Once you get enough, the more, it doesn't make you any happier. And if there's anything inside yourself that is like, you know, a disdain towards yourself, some kind of self-worth issue, something that you dislike about yourself that comes out in your relationships or whatever, it won't be fixed with anything external. You know, I've heard this quote that addiction is something that you just can't get enough of. And I think we all think that we're going to get enough outside of us and go find something, whether it be money, success, winning, and then we'll get enough and then we'll be happy. And I think maybe the greatest gift of what Jim Carrey is trying to say is that once you achieve quote unquote everything, you realize that's not what you needed. So you can kind of go back to the drawing board and realize that, you know, it's a sense of self-love, a love for others, acceptance of yourself, you know, be able to work through whatever pain you might have in your heart, to build your relationships, stuff that really lasts. Because we were talking about this, but to get really cheesy with you guys, like, if addiction is the one thing you can't get enough of, and that's everything external, the one thing that you can get enough of is love. So if you can find that in yourself and in others, then you'll be good. And you don't find that in money, cars, Olympia wins, or, you know, billion-dollar businesses. So I think that's what he's trying to say, and that's how I felt definitely in my life.
Ben, yours is like, it's the Chris's Olympia title, so you get that, but I think every one of us at some point in this room that says, wow, if I had X thousand pounds or dollars, if I won the lottery, if I this, that would just solve everything. That doesn't apply to you for obvious reasons, right? But what do you think about that Jim Carrey quote? Do you think that is it true? What's the deal?
Yeah, from my point of view, there's no level of business success that will outweigh the feeling of having a wonderful family, two happy and healthy kids. Like that. There's no level of success that will beat that. However, similar to Chris, I genuinely feel like I live the dream. I absolutely love my job. It's brilliant, and I feel so lucky to be able to do something that I love. So yes and no. I understand what you're saying. Obviously, family and personal sort of stuff is significantly more important. That's not to say that I don't love the job. I think it's incredible. I absolutely love it. And again, anyone that is thinking about starting their own business, it doesn't have to be a massive business, even if it's just for learning or for fun. I think it's such a cool thing to do.
The thing I love about what they both just said is like, it feels to me like anybody else out there sitting in the crowd listening is like, if you have a family that love you, you might have kids or just a brother-in-law who supports you or a wife or a granddad or whatever else, you probably have 80% of what these guys already have, right? Maybe even 90%, because I know that's where Chris gets his love and satisfaction from. I know where Ben gets his from as well. So in case you're sitting out there aspiring to be a bodybuilder, aspiring to be an entrepreneur like Ben, if you look inwards, it might be that actually you've already got a lot of what these guys already have. You're right, we were talking about that last week. And also last week when we were talking, interesting thing happened during our conversation. When I was talking about you as a champion, as an Olympia champion, you kept using the terminology, who I used to be, who I was. Now, like, no one's even won the Olympia since you yet, but you seem to have already moved on from that really, really fast. So, I definitely speak on behalf of Gymshark, but I want to speak on behalf of everyone as well and go, what the hell are you going to do next?
That's an incredible question. And I mean, I'm still trying to figure that out myself. I never intended and never wanted to attach my identity to bodybuilding, so now that it's gone, I don't feel like that much has changed other than what I do day to day is a little bit different. And I don't have to stress out about October 14th next year when I have to be on stage for that one day and look perfect. So that's a bit of a relief. But going forward, my focus is priority being family, making sure I can be there, set up our future, be the best possible, learning about the business side that you guys are already go deep into, and I'd like to find some way to be able to take the resources and abundance I've gotten, both mentally and physically, and be able to give back eventually, in whatever aspect that is. We've had some discussions of that. I don't know how it's going to come. I've only been retired for 3 months, so I'm still trying to figure it out myself, but I'm enjoying the lack of pressure for the time. Maybe I'll find it somewhere else, but we'll see.
We're all slightly hoping that you get sick of retirement and just fucking jump back on stage, do it again, I think. Ben, this event is an example of how far Gymshark's come, right? This is the most incredible fitness event that I've ever been to. I've certainly never seen a single brand pull off something like this. So what's next for Gymshark? Because it seems like the brand is already on top of the world, the biggest gym brand there is out there. What's next?
Well, I think we need to do more of these events. We've done sort of. We did a big event in Miami last year, wasn't it? It was about 12 months ago. We did New York, which was incredible. It was a huge event. Then obviously we've come back here, and I think the reception has been incredible. It's been absolutely brilliant. So I'd love to do more. And then talking about the stores we opened up in the UK, I'd really like to open some stores in the US. I don't know.
If we open some stores in the US, you think that's a good idea?
Being honest, I don't know what they would look like. I don't. Obviously, we've got a beautiful flagship on Regent Street. I would love to do an equivalent somewhere here. I like the idea of big stores, small stores. I'd love one day, not yet, but I'd love for us to do a gym. We've got a gym at our offices. It's called the Lifting Club, and it's absolutely stunning. It's brilliant. So I'd love to sort of just try doing different things. I don't know what it looks like, but we've been an online business for the first 12 years, and I'd really love to see more of a physical offline footprint, especially here in the US, because everyone in the US is so kind and supportive about the growth journey that we're on. It feels like the right place for us to be.
So Chris just said he's excited about giving some stuff back, using his fees as resources. Ben said he'd love to open a gym. What about right here on this stage, if we agree that we should definitely explore the idea of Gymshark and Chris getting together and putting a gym somewhere? If we did that, where do you think we should be?
Chicago! New York! Chicago! Chicago!
Everyone saying New York.
New York! New York! Chicago!
Miami. Alright, we'll look into that. Somebody over there make a note of that. We'll look into that afterwards. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a chance to ask some questions in a minute, but I've got one final one I want to ask you both. Obviously, you're known as a bodybuilder. Obviously, you're known as an entrepreneur, right? But when you're an old man lying on your deathbed, right? What do you want to be remembered for?
It's intense. I know exactly. In fact, I've got. I would really. My ambition at the moment is I would just really want to be a cool dad, and I think every dad says the same. But I think that it's weird. When you have kids, it's almost like it's quite cool to be impressive, but the people that you really want to impress is your kids. So I think that's what I would like.
If you want to be a cool dad, you've got to get some better shoes, man. These are fucking terrible.
I haven't. I'll find. I'll go to the shops later.
Gymshark shoes.
I wouldn't know where to
Someone
start.
had that to the list as well. Miami Gym, Gymshark shoes. Chris, old man CBUM, a million grandkids. What do you want to be remembered for?
I mean, absolutely the same boat. I feel like there's nothing better than, if you could be in your deathbed and have your children, your grandchildren, your siblings, everyone who loves you just surrounded by you at that point. Because you were just a good person and you loved them, You prioritize family over everything else. So I would hope I don't sacrifice family for anything, ever.
That's amazing. So, after I took it really deep and asked the intense question, it nearly made them both cry. I want to put the...
If you think of anyone who's done something successful, built a great business, become a great athlete, it takes so much time, consistency and resilience. And for me, I think that's the important thing. It's about setting out a yardstick, knowing where you want to get to, and just really holding yourself accountable to getting there. And that doesn't, as you move on that journey, things might change, plans might change, you might have to approach it from a slightly different angle. But for me, it's literally just about being resilient and standing the test of time. I think there's so many points in Gymshark's journey where all the logic would suggest that the best thing to do was just to give up and just try something else. But we just kept pushing forward, and I'm sure Chris had exactly the same. I'm sure there would have been numerous times where you thought, I'm just not feeling it, I'm not sure if I can do it. But for me, it's just about that consistency and that resilience and having that mindset to just, keep focused on what you want to achieve.
Okay, who else has got one for us?
First, I want to say the shirt, best one yet. I wanted to ask you, who are you going to be rooting for this next Olympia?
Great question.
I feel like I need to get a political answer here. I'm going to get myself in trouble. I don't know, honestly. It's tough. I want whoever's going to be the best person for the sport,
Boo! Give us a name.
It's hard because everyone I compete against was so kind. And I jokingly tell them that's why they lost. After they were too nice to me, and I was like, they would tell me they're not going to beat me. They would jokingly say they can't wait until I retire. I'm like, well, you're not going to win with a mindset like that. But no, they're all super kind and they're all great guys. So I would just love for whoever to step into my position to take it as seriously as I did, understand it's a heavy responsibility, and once you win once, it doesn't get easier, it gets harder and harder. So whoever gets it, I hope they can try and get 7. I would love to see it, as much as it would hurt my heart. I'd be very proud if one of them did it, but the guys up there are all great. So I'm a little biased to hers, but that's all I'll say.
Okay, you're dying to get the mic off me. I can see how you've got it in your eyes.
Okay, my question is for both of you. When you get in your head, what's a phrase you tell yourself to get out of your head?
Don't be a skinny bitch.
Ben?
Exactly the same.
Okay, next question. This guy's about to jump out of his seat. I was wearing young LA, we're not going to you. Jump, it's fine.
So this is 2 questions. Okay, so I'm doing my first bodybuilding show this year because I saw you win last year and I thought it was awesome. And I'm like, I want to start it. I'm doing natural. I'm 6 feet, around 220 pounds, and I'm trying to bulk. I was wondering how much should I bulk at 6 feet before I start the cut?
Why I wasn't a coach. I mean, it's.
I think the best thing you could do is get up there and take your shirt off. You gonna do it? Alright, let's do it, come on then. Yes! That was helping.
Genuinely, I'd say you're good right here. Yeah. I think for me personally, bulking is like once you start putting on like more than 2 pounds a month, you're going too fast. If you start to plateau in the gym, you need to take a little bit of a break, so like a deload week or 2. Personally, when I stop seeing my abs blatantly in the morning and night, that's when I pull it back.
We ain't really got time for the magic trick, sorry man. But go buy a Gymshark shirt and we might let you do it later. Right, who's next? I'm sorry about this, I need to go a little further back because otherwise we're going to be ignoring people. Let me get to this guy here.
This question's for both of you. I'm sure both of you had key moments where you had to deal with immense pressure and stress, whether that was in a competitive or business sense. How do you keep yourself level-headed and motivated to push through in stressful situations where others are depending on you to perform?
It's about staying level-headed.
How do you stay level-headed when you're in high-pressure situations where people are expecting you both to perform?
I mean, we've had. I remember we in the early days we were working in LA, and I remember flying home, and we were so tight to the line that I was trying to decide whether or not when I got home I would go back to university or go back and get a job. So we've had loads of those moments where we've been that close. Granted, not in recent years, but we've had some really hard times, and I think. For me, there's a base in those times of I love what I do and I feel really fortunate to be able to do what I do. And I think I'm sort of focused on that. But then, yeah, for me, I think it's just that relentless pursuit of where we want to get to. I want to build an iconic brand. I feel so fortunate to be in this position, and as such, whatever it is, whatever the difficulties are, I'm going to push through. I think the other thing that's really helped me, and it didn't really happen until probably the last 5 or 6 years, was I was fortunate enough to connect with people that have run businesses that are significantly bigger than Gymshark, and they've had all of the same problems. They've all had really difficult issues they've had to work through, so I never feel like we're the only ones that are having to deal with it because other people have. So I think just that recognition of the fact that everyone has those issues and everyone has to work through them. And if they've been able to do it, then why can't I?
I would say on top of that for myself, the biggest thing for me I had to learn was like radical acceptance, where you know those days that suck, instead of being like not wanting to have days that suck or trying to deny those days that suck or getting past them, just sit in those days that suck. Understand that no matter what, Ben still has those days, no matter how big Gymshark gets, I still had those days. And I remember specifically 2 years ago when I tore my lat, like 10 weeks out of the Olympia, I called Hani, I called Courtney in the back of the gym, like crying, hiding, praying that no one saw that I just hurt myself, literally crying, like I can't fucking do this. We had just found out Courtney was pregnant, we were going through a bunch of shit with my family, there was so much going on, and I was like, I don't think I can get through this Olympia. You know, and just have to accept that those days come, they're inevitable, especially the longer you're at the top, the longer you try and do something, more likelihood of shit's gonna hit the fan. So accept where you're at, get through one day at a time. You know, I was like, what can I do right now? Get home. I can't train my upper body, hit leg day, hit a rest day, hit leg day, hit a rest day. Just get through one day at a time. The next thing I knew, 6 weeks had gone by, I was healed enough to get back at the gym. I was in a good enough spot to get through prep, so I kept doing one more day at a time, and ended up winning that Olympia still. So if I'd given up then, I would have never known what could have come. So you know, don't give up, accept where you're at.
Right, you, come on. This girl's been staring at me for about 5 minutes.
What does life look like? Like, is it hard for you? Are you still following a plan? Are you maintaining? Like, what is the goal, I guess?
I went like 6 weeks of eating bagels and cream cheese every day for breakfast. And it was incredible. No, I mean, honestly, a long time ago, I started to eat, yes, macros-ish, not even, I just followed a meal plan. But my intention was that I enjoy eating healthy. I know it's good for my body, it's not just about how I look. I enjoy eating healthy. So my mindset completely shifted at that point. I didn't feel like I was as restricted as I had in the past, but I didn't have to eat like that. I was treated like that because I knew it was what was best for me. So when I retired, I let myself, you know, relax a little bit. I ate bagels and cream cheese every day for a while, and then I started to not feel so good. My digestion wasn't great, so I kind of went back on eating healthy, and I literally just eat what I want right now, which is healthy. Eat when I want. Like I had some eggs this morning, and I haven't eaten anything except an RX bar before I got up here, and it's fine. But oh yeah, I still weigh things. It feels so weird to eat meat without weighing it. But it's, you know, I gotta make sure I'm getting 40 grams of protein per meal, or it's not enough. But I enjoy it still. It doesn't feel like I have to do that. I'm grateful that I get to do that, and I know it. And I know it's good for my body. I'm nourishing my body, so it's all good. But I think really switching my perspective that, you know, the food going in me is benefiting me. It's for my health. It's not just for how I look. Really helped change my mind.
Woo! Hi guys. So I just want to ask if you've had time to check out any gyms in the Miami area, and if you have, where have you had a great workout?
Have you had time to check out any of the gyms in the Miami area? And if you have, where have you had a great workout?
I haven't yet, no. I went for a run down the, there's a really nice beach near the, is it South Beach?
South Beach.
Really nice. I went for a run down there. I used the hotel gym, but I've not been to any proper gyms yet.
Christopher?
I've been to Elevation a few times. I feel like everyone here's been to Elevation, right? All heard of it? Maybe? No? 2 people. 3. That's about it though. And the hotel gym. I love me a good hotel gym. If you get a good workout in a hotel gym at 6 a.m., you know how to work out.
Imagine you go into your hotel gym at 6 in the morning and CBUM's in there doing fucking bicep curls. That would be wild. There's a lady over here who keeps waving some sort of creepy doll. Where have you gone? Yeah, there you are. You need to explain what this is about for sure.
I know that you like Jujutsu Kaisen, so I got you a little Funko.
Chris, what is it?
Oh, it's from Jiu-Jitsu Kaisen.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you very much.
Big anime guy.
Okay, I need somebody. We've got a couple questions left, so I want to go in like this area. This guy looks friendly.
What's up? Hey, Chris. I got a question for you. I just turned pro back in December at Nationals. What was the mindset you took into the pro league for you to get in the position that you got into for a 6th title? What was the mindset you got into entering into the pro league to get where you were to get that 6th title?
It wasn't intentional. Like I didn't think of what my mindset should be, but it was just like a humble one step forward kind of attitude. Like I turned pro as a bodybuilder, and honestly I almost retired then because I didn't want to be a 300 pounds at 6'1", and then Classic Physique came out that year, and I was like, screw it, I'll give it a shot, why not, you know? And then I just got on stage for Classic Physique with no expectation, just seeing what would happen. Obviously fell in love with it, and then I wanted to go and win a pro show, and I didn't even want to win actually. I just wanted to come like top 3, top 5 at a pro show, and then I went the next year to Pittsburgh and I won that show, and I was like almost surprised by it. And I just kind of continued that mindset. I was like, all right, I won one, I want to win 2, I want to make it to the Olympia, I want to do good at the Olympia, I want to win the Olympia, and I just kind of kept one little step ahead rather than overwhelming like daunting goal in the future. And that's not the right answer. Don't take anything I say and think that that's the right answer, because it's not. That's just what worked for me. I know plenty of people who have achieved more than I have, and when they were 6 years old, they were like, I'm going to be a billionaire, you know? I just wasn't that kid, and that what worked for me. So I think, you know, let your mind go where it goes. Just keep moving forward. If a goal is too big and stressing you out, maybe try and minimize them. If it motivates you every day, then it's what's right for you. But don't just take what I say and follow it, just figure out what you need to do. But that was my journey.
Thanks, mate. Right, these two boys here are playing like rock, paper, scissors against each other to see who gets it. You won, yeah? Did he really?
Curious for anybody who is pursuing bodybuilding. What is just something, it doesn't have to be the number one thing, what is something that you feel is often overlooked when they're preparing for their first show?
That's a great question. I feel like the right answer is probably everything. And it's not even a bad thing. I think everything is overlooked because you don't understand how nuanced bodybuilding can be. But I think you should start like that, or otherwise it feels overwhelming, you know? There's a lot of things that I had no idea that mattered when I was a young bodybuilder, and honestly probably didn't. Because the younger you are, the less experienced you are, more progress you can make with less perfection. You know, when you're once a 5-time Mr. Olympia, every little change matters. Every little deficit matters, but it doesn't matter as much when you're young. So, I mean, whenever someone asks me about starting out, I would just say the best thing you can do is just jump in. Don't think about it, don't try and have the perfect thing to do, just jump in, just start, get lost in the mix, let yourself fail, and just learn from your failures and keep moving forward, because you're only gonna figure out those nuances like through experience. No one's gonna teach you. They're different for everyone, so jump in, fail, learn the nuances, and just don't overthink it.
Great question, thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're now running out of time. Now, I'm gonna close out the show a little bit, but I'm hoping that once we finish, I'm gonna get all of you guys to crowd around right here. I'm gonna need this guy with the tripod, he's on his phone, he can't hear me. I'm gonna need him to shuffle out the way a little bit. I'm gonna get you all together, then get Ben and Chris here so we can take a big photograph of all of this. But before we do, I hope you've all really enjoyed this. It's been an amazing insight into two people who you don't really get to hear talk like this very often. So, before we take that final photograph, ladies and gents, please put your hands together for 6-time Mr. Olympia, Chris Bumstead, and the perennial Jim Shark, Ben Francis. Right, I'm going to get you guys to gather kind of here in like a semicircle. Whoa, let's not get weird. Move back a little bit for me, because I'm going to put Ben and Chris down there. No, move back a little bit for me. Come in at the back. Right, guys, no. You're not taking photos. You're going to take a photo all together. So, Chris, Okay, yo, CJ, put the music for me. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna take the photograph. Ladies, do me a favor. Thank you. Okay.
Crazy interview. Super
Oh shit, Chris is doing one.